वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज का वीडियो कैपिटल गेन सीरीज का वीडियो नंबर 11 है। इन दिस वीडियो वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट द कॉस्ट ऑफ एक्विजिशन ऑफ द कैपिटल एसेट्स। ये वीडियो थोड़ी लंबी होगी लेकिन बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट वीडियो है, इसके लिए आप इसके अंत तक बने रहें। तो चलिए हम वीडियो की शुरुआत करते हैं। सेक्शन 49 सब सेक्शन 1, where capital asset becomes the property of the assessee under following modes, the cost of acquisition of the asset shall be deemed to be as follow. Here it is section mode of the acquisition of the capital asset, cost of acquisition of the capital assets. Section 49 subsection 1 clause 1. On any distribution of assets on total or partial partition of a Hindu undivided family. Clause 2 under a gift or will. Clause 3 subclause A by succession, inheritance or devolution. Clause 13 B on any distribution of assets on dissolution of the firm, BOIs or AOPs, where dissolution has taken place at any time before 1st day of April 1987, or clause 3 on any distribution of asset on liquidation of a company, or D under a transfer to a revocable or an irrevocable trust, or E under any such transfer as referred to in clauses of section 47, that is clause 4, clause 5th, clause 6th, clause 6A, clause 6AA, 6AB, 6B, 6C, 6CA, 6CB, 6CC, 7AC, 7AD, 7AE, 7AF, clause 13, clause 13B, clause 14. Section 49 subsection 1 clause 4. Section 64(2) under any transfer or conversion at any time after 31st day of December 69 by an individual being member of HUF of his separate property into property belonging to the family, or throwing it into common stock of the family, or transferred by individual directly or indirectly to the family otherwise than for mode of acquisition of capital assets covered under section 49(1) subclause 1 to 4, the cost of acquisition shall be deemed to be the cost for which previous owners acquired it, increased by cost of any improvement of the asset incurred by the assessee or previous owner or owners. Previous owners means last previous owners who acquired the capital asset by a mode other than as referred to in clause 1 to 4 section 49 subsection 1. Section 49 subsection 2, where capital asset being share or securities in amalgamated Indian company become the property of the assessee in lieu of shares held in amalgamating company, section 47 clause 7. The cost of acquisition of assets shall be deemed to be cost of acquisition of the share or shares to him in the amalgamating company. Section 49 subsection 2A, where capital asset being share or debenture of a company becomes the property of the assessee by way of conversion of bonds or debentures into share or by way of conversion of bonds into share or debenture, Section 47 Clause 10 or Clause 10A. The cost of acquisition of the assets shall be deemed to be that part of the cost of debenture, debenture stock or bond or deposit certificate which is acquired by the assessee. Section 49 subsection 2AA, where the capital asset being a specified security or sweet equity as referred to in section 17 subsection 2 clause 6 becomes the property of the assessee. The cost of acquisition of such security or shares shall be the fair market value as taken into account for the purpose of the said clause. Section 49 subsection 2 AAA, where capital asset being rights of a partner as referred to in LLP Act 2008 becomes the property of the assessee on conversion as referred to in section 47 clause 13b. The cost of acquisition of shares to the assessee shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition of shares in the company immediately before its conversion. Section 49 subsection 2AB, where capital asset being a specified security or sweet equity transferred, the cost of acquisition of the security or share shall be fair market value after taking into account while computing fringe benefit under section 115 WC subsection 1 clause BA. Section 49 subsection 2A where capital assets being shares or share of a company becomes capital assets of a non-resident assessee on redemption of GDRs as referred to in section 115 AC subsection 1 clause B held by such assessee. The cost of acquisition of the assets or share shall be the price of such shares prevailing on any recognized stock exchange on the date on which a request for such redemption was made. Section 49 subsection 2AC, where capital asset being units of a business trust becomes property of an assessee in consideration of a transfer as referred to in section 47 clause 17. The cost of the acquisition of the assets shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition of share to him as referred to in said clause. Section 49 subsection 2AD, where capital asset being unit or units in consolidated scheme of the mutual fund becomes the property of the assessee in consideration of a transfer as referred to in section 47 clause 18. The cost of acquisition of the assets shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition of the units to him in consolidated scheme of the mutual fund. Section 49 subsection 2AE, where capital asset being equity share of a company becomes the property of the assessee in consideration of a transfer as referred to in section 47 clause XB. The cost of acquisition of the asset shall be deemed to be that part of the cost of preference share in relation to which such asset is acquired by the assessee. Section 49 subsection 2AF, where capital asset being units or unit in consolidated plan of mutual fund scheme becomes the property of the assessee in consideration of a transfer as referred to in section 47 clause 19. The cost of acquisition of the assets shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition of a unit or units to him in consolidating plan of the scheme of the mutual fund. Section 49 2AG, where capital asset being unit or units in segregated portfolio become property of the assessee on segregation of the portfolios. The cost of acquisition of unit or units in segregated portfolios shall be the amount which bears to the cost of acquisition of unit or units held by the assessee in total portfolio the same proportion as the net assets value of the asset transferred to the segregated portfolio bears to the net assets value of the total portfolio immediately before segregation of the portfolio. Section 49 subsection 2AH, where capital asset being original units held by unit holder in main portfolio. The cost of acquisition of the original unit held by unit holder shall be deemed to be reduced by the amount so arrived at section 49 subsection 2AG as above. Section 49 subsection 2AI, where capital asset being shares as referred to in section 47 clause 20 become property of the assessee with effect from 1/4/2023. The cost of acquisition of such assets shall be deemed to be the cost of acquisition to it of the interest in the joint venture referred to in the said clause. Section 49 subsection 2C, where capital asset being shares in resulting company in demerger. The cost of acquisition of such assets shall be the amount which bears to the cost of acquisition of the shares held by assessee in the demerged company the same proportion as the net book value of the assets transferred in a demerger bears to the net worth of the demerged company immediately before the demerger. Section 49 subsection 2D, where capital asset being original shares held by assessee in demerged company. The cost of acquisition of such original shares shall be deemed to be reduced by the amount as arrived at section 49 subsection 2C as above. Section 49 subsection 2E, capital assets become property in business reorganization of cooperative bank as referred to in section 44 DB. The provision of section 49 subsection 2 subsection 2C and subsection 2D shall apply. Section 49 subsection 3, where capital assets become property under transferred as referred to in section 47 clause 4 or clause 5. The cost of acquisition of such assets to the transferee company shall be the cost for which such assets was acquired by it. Section 49 subsection 4, where capital asset being property covered under section 56 subsection 2 clause 7 clause 7a or clause 10, the cost of acquisition of such property shall be deemed to be the value taken into account for the purposes of the said section 52 of the said section 56 subsection 2 clause 7 clause 7a clause 10. Section 49 subsection 5, where capital asset being an asset declared under income declaration scheme 2016 and the tax surcharge and penalty have been paid as per the provisions of the scheme on fair market value of the asset and the date of the commencement of the scheme. The cost of acquisition of the asset shall be deemed to be the fair market value of the asset which has been taken into account for the purposes of the said clause or said scheme. Section 49 subsection 6, where capital asset being specified capital assets arising to received by the assessee in lieu of land or building or both in accordance with a scheme transferred within 2 years from the end of the financial year in which possession of such land or plot was handed over to him. Section 10, Clause 37A, Explanation C. The cost of acquisition of such a specified asset shall be deemed to be its stamp duty value on the last day of the second financial year after the end of the financial year in which possession of the said specified asset was handed over to the assessee. Section 49, subsection 7. Where capital asset being shared in a project in form of land, building or both, as referred to in section 45 subsection 5a, but not being the capital asset referred to in proviso of the said subsection 5a. The cost of acquisition of such asset shall be the amount which is deemed as full value of consideration in that subsection. Section 49, subsection 8. Section 49(8), where capital asset being the assets held by a trust or an institution in respect of which accreted income computed and tax paid in accordance with provisions of Chapter 12 EB. The cost of acquisition of such assets shall be deemed to fair market value of the asset which has taken into account for computation of accreted income as on the specified date as referred to in section 115TD subsection 2. Section 49 subsection 9, where capital asset being the assets as referred to in section 28 clause 6a, cost of acquisition of such assets shall be deemed to be fair market value taken into account for the purposes of the said clause. Section 49 subsection 10, where capital asset being 1. An electronic gold receipt issued by vault manager becomes property of the person as consideration of a transfer as referred to in section 47 clause 7d. The cost of acquisition of the asset shall be deemed to be the cost of the gold in the hand of the person in whose name electronic gold receipt is issued. Second, gold released against electronic gold receipt becomes property of the person as consideration for a transfer referred to in section 47 clause 7d. The cost of acquisition of the asset shall be deemed to be the cost of the electronic gold receipt in the hand of such person. Section 50. Section 50. Depreciable assets covered under Section 50. Opening WDV of block of assets on the first day of the previous year plus actual cost of assets acquired during the year which fall in the same block of assets. That will be the cost of the acquisition. Section 50A. Depreciable assets of a power generating unit as covered under Section 50A. WDV of the asset less terminal benefit plus balancing charge. Section 50B. Undertaking or division acquired by way of slump sale as covered under Section 50B. Net worth of such undertaking or division shall be the cost of acquisition of such assets or division. Miscellaneous. New assets acquired for claiming exemptions under Section 54, 54B, 54D, 54G or 54ZA if it is transferred within 3 years. Actual cost of acquisition minus exemption claimed under these sections. goodwill of the business or profession or trademark or rights or brand name associated with business or profession. If such asset was acquired by the assessee by purchase from a previous owner, cost of acquisition means amount of the purchase price. In case such assets falling under section 49 subsection 1 clause 1 to 4 and such assets was acquired by the previous owner by purchase, the cost of acquisition means amount of purchase price of such previous owner. In any other cases, the cost of acquisition shall be taken as nil. Additional compensation in case of compulsory acquisition of the capital assets, cost of acquisition shall be taken as nil. Or right share, amount actually paid by the assessee, right to subscribe to shares, that is right entitlement, cost of acquisition shall be taken as a nil. Bonus share, if allotted to assessee before 1/4/1981 fair market value on that day, in any other case, the cost of the acquisition of the bonus share shall be taken as nil. When depreciable asset which was subject to depreciation on a straight line method basis of a power generating unit is sold, discarded, demolished or destroyed, then terminal depreciation shall be deductible from the sale consideration while computing the capital gains, or balancing charge is taxable in the relevant year as the case may be. Terminal depreciation is equal to WDV minus sale consideration. Balancing charge is equal to sales consideration minus WDV of depreciable assets. ये वीडियो अब मैं यहीं समाप्त करता हूं। ये वीडियो काफी लंबी हो गई है लेकिन बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट वीडियो है। इस वीडियो को आप लाइक कीजिए, शेयर कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए अगर ये वीडियो आपको अच्छी लगती है तो। थैंक यू वेरी मच।